Let's see if we got some questions here. Okay, this says, boy, this is a stump the pastor kind of question. The Byzantine Empire had a good run at this type of community. Do you have any information to share on that? Just a little bit. I mean, I'm not an expert on the Byzantine expression of Christianity, but essentially, and it's something that really isn't taught and really isn't well known, but the Byzantine Empire, which eventually became part of Russia and most of the countries, I think, in the Eastern Bloc of Europe, had an expression of Christianity that was a part of their culture for over 1,000 years. It wasn't really until the communists came into the Soviet Union in the when was that? At the turn of the 20th century, that the Christian expression in that culture was really kind of oppressed and forced under. But part of the Byzantine community and part of what made it so strong is there was a wide network of sort of monastic communities that would live together and work together, and they wouldn't do this in a vacuum where they were completely distanced from the world around them, but they would actually live together and work together for the benefit of the communities that surrounded them and were around them. So I think that's probably what that question is asking about. And it's an amazing model for how Christian community can be lived and worked out and developed. And it's also something that, especially in American expressions of Christianity, hardly anybody knows anything about, which probably is a lot of that's probably due to kind of the American mentality of, pick yourself up by your own bootstraps and, look out for number one and take care of yourself, and excessive materialism and things like that. That more of a monastic expression isn't necessarily it doesn't really match with that kind of worldview or mindset. So that's kind of my short answer to that. Does that help answer the question, John? Yeah, good. Okay. Any other thoughts or questions about that? I had another question. Said, if we get too big as a community here, will we all fit in a submarine? Yeah, that's a problem I would love to have, and see if we can all squeeze. What's that?
It depends how big the submarine is.
Yeah, submarines. I mean, man, submarines can get pretty big. So, if we outgrow our own little yellow submarine, since it's a spiritual metaphor, I'll just say that God will probably just grow the size of the submarine, and maybe it'll, break off and form other little submarines, and we could end up having not just one submarine that we all live in, but maybe a whole fleet of submarines. How about that? I like that analogy. We can have a whole fleet of little...
It said there's many more that live next door.
That's right.
That's right, yeah. So it's a model for a sub-community as well as a model for a whole network or a whole fleet of Christian submarine yellow communities, or yellow submarine Christian community. You get the point. Yeah, it's good. Any other thoughts or questions about that? I love you guys. You're great.
Jesus did say, I have other sheep not of this fold, which the Greek word actually means separate.
Bob, since you're our resident Greek scholar, I'm going to take your word on that one. He said that Jesus said he has sheep who are not of this fold, and in his extensive Greek knowledge, the word for fold also means submarine. So there could be red submarines and brown submarines and rainbow-colored submarines, and I don't know. What's your favorite color?
Green.
Green? So there's probably green submarines out there, and blue.
I think it's an interesting thing. I go to St. John's in the morning, and it's so kind of what we're going through. We were a smaller submarine for years and years and years and years. And since we have come here, the challenge is to retain a closeness, but that's so directed outward and not, just our little family, and figuring out how that works and how we stay connected, but inclusive and inviting and welcoming and all those kinds of things. And it's not easy to try to figure that out. It's something you can only pray about. It's not a model.
Sure.
It's not something you can get out of a book. It's because each church community, I think, is unique.
Absolutely, and it is definitely a challenge because, you know, when you have a family unit that you really like each other and you really get along really well, sometimes it can be uncomfortable to want to step out of that and bring other people into it because some people are afraid that if you bring other people in, that'll completely change the dynamic. Which it may, but at the same time, it can only